Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Today we're going to talk about flourishing in circumstances you do not prefer. Now, there's a line in the psalm that we're going to do here that challenges the easy theology. That is, if I'm a Christian, then everything in my life should be perfect. And I got to tell you, this one disturbed me. And the image of wearing a collar of iron, it got me. It just rocked me. And sometimes you think you know a story. This is the story of Joseph in the Old Testament. And you thought you had it kind of categorized in your mind. And then you get this one more detail, sudden, a little surprise. And it's like this little gem of disturbance that happens in Psalm 105, commenting on the story from way back in Genesis. So all this is in a title psalm that's titled, Tell of All His Wondrous Works. So let's watch for something that, in my opinion, is not very wonderful. Now, his response to it kind of is wonderful. Psalm 105. Let me just give you the run to the disturbing part. Oh, give thanks to the Lord. Call upon his name. Make known his deeds among his people. Sing to him. Sing praises to him. Tell of all his wondrous works. Glory in his holy name. Let the hearts of those who seek the Lord rejoice. So, fantastic. Tell of his work. Give thanks. Make known. Sing, glory, rejoice in. Seek the Lord. Seek his presence and remember his wonderful works. Now, for those that have difficulty, if you're having trouble, those are good action points and things to do. But stay tuned. There's something going on that happens when it mentions Joseph back wearing a collar of iron. So it goes on to say, verse 8, Psalm 105, verse 8, he remembers his covenant forever, the word that he commanded for 1,000 generations. So Psalm 105 is kind of like this history book of the Lord's interaction with Israel. And it pushes us to remember that he, the Lord, does not forget. He remembers his covenant forever through 1,000 generations. He made a covenant with Abraham and gave him the land of Canaan, the land of Israel, as an everlasting covenant. And he's telling them, why am I doing all this for you? So that you can be a blessing to the rest of the world. Verse 12. When they were few in number, of little account, and sojourners in it, wandering from nation to nation, from one kingdom to another, he allowed no one to oppress them. He rebuked kings on their account, saying, touch not my anointed ones. So why Israel? What's the big deal about Israel? What's the chosenness of God? Why did he choose them? Was it because they were strong and mighty? No, exactly not that reason. Because they were few. They were a little account. They were sojourners. They were wandering among the nations. So then here we get to Joseph now in verse 16. So when he summoned a famine on the land and broke all supply of bread, he had sent a man ahead of them, Joseph, who was sold as a slave by his brothers. His feet, and this is the part here, his feet were hurt with fetters, so he didn't have the comfy fetters, he had painful fetters, and his neck was put in a collar of iron, which what's a nice collar of iron? There isn't one. Until what he had said came to pass. The word of the Lord tested him. So wait a minute. Let me get this straight. One of the best humans to ever live on this planet, Joseph, has these things happen. Let's just summarize. Sold as a slave, fetters for his feet, collar of iron, and testing of the Lord. Those four things are just mentioned in two little verses. And just remember, when did his slavery end? The answer is never. Till he went to heaven. He saves Egypt, he saves Israel, he feeds the world, and not only did they not give him a medal, they gave him a metal collar of iron. So the freedom that his brothers took from him when he was just a teenager, they stole it from him, that was never returned. Joseph left Egypt eventually, but as a bag of bones. His liberty was never restored. He had fetters and collars of iron, maybe not physically, but then figuratively, for every breath of his life. So he was released from prison one time, but never was he released from slavery. All right, so here's the big point, is can you flourish in circumstances you do not prefer? So Joseph was faithful in these circumstances he didn't prefer. Jesus was faithful. Paul was faithful. Peter was faithful. Hagar was faithful. Jacob was faithful in circumstances they did not prefer. So in this great context of Psalm 105, give thanks, make known his deeds, and then bear up when you're buried. Be faithful when you're tested. To hope in God when you have physical pain or loss of liberty or betrayal by 11/13ths of your family, or misunderstanding of your employee or unjust imprisonment. So when you have circumstances that you do not prefer, when your neck is put in the collar of iron, will you be faithful to the Lord? So I got to tell you, this one disturbed me. The collar of iron just kind of got me. So what we're talking about is being in circumstances you do not prefer. That's the metaphor for us today. So some are in this circumstances that metaphorically we do not appreciate, the collar of iron. And then let's think about God's characteristics. So the collar of iron is not outside of the border of what God may allow in his sovereignty, even for the best of humanity. That just kind of blows your mind. This is the kind of God we have that allows collars of iron. So also, if he allows it, then the collar of iron is also not out of the purview of his covenant keeping and the giving of his presence. So if you are not in a collar of iron, I think the teaching point today is maybe be a support to those who are. And then long term, be ready. There may be things down the pike that you won't prefer. Joseph didn't, and you won't, and don't let it rock your faith if that should happen. And then just a final word to those that are in a collar of iron. I would say be faithful, be steadfast, be knowledgeable. You're not the first. And then be faithful all the way through this. And maybe even give grace. I was thinking about Joseph, that he had every right to call for justice and enact justice. He was a powerful man. Punishment, put starvation on his bad brothers. But he gave grace in the most difficult of circumstances. And if you're in a collar of iron, my super high call, try to do it, is give grace. So how do you flourish in circumstances you don't prefer? You read, you understand, and imitate what happens in Psalm 105. Thanks for listening.